If you make these small changes, they will lead to massive wins in life, but you just got to make them. Driven Mofos, welcome back to another episode of The Underestimated Entrepreneur. All right, let's get into winning the mindset game. I'm going to talk about some stories. We got some story time today. So I had a business owner who came to me a couple of weeks ago and they said, look, I'm thinking about doing some coaching. And I said, well, first of all, I'm thinking about hiring Playboy bunnies to massage my shoulders while I'm working. Are you thinking about it, or are we going to do some shit? Like, first of all, let's make a commitment. Let's not just think about shit because, like if you want to mentally masturbate, then go your hardest. But most people aren't going to get anywhere in life by doing that, right? And this is the problem, is that most people think about shit. They don't do things. And so his commitment was already crap. I could already tell why he wasn't getting the results that he wanted in his business. So anyway, he had a bit of a laugh and he checked himself in again and he's like, all right, cool. Yeah, I need to do something. And I said, all right, cool. What is it? And he said, well, first of all, I've got some staffing issues. I've got some of these challenges in my business and we've got a marketing problem and yada, yada, yada. And I said, okay, cool. So what you're telling me is that you have a mindset problem. And he said, no, my mindset's fine. I said, no, it's not, because if it was, you wouldn't be having those problems. And it took me about 30 minutes to explain to him how everything that's happening around him is a reflection of what's going on inside of him, inside of his own mind. If his staff is slipping, it's because he's slipping in life. If his staff aren't accountable, the question is, where are you not being accountable in your life, in your business? What are you doing that's letting people around you slip? Where are you not leading them effectively? How good is your communication skills, both with yourself and then with others? And I was like, bro, you got to change your internal game. This isn't an external game. This is an internal game. You want to win the game of business, you got to change how you think about things. Now, he got it eventually. But this is such an important thing that everyone, almost everyone, I can't say everyone because I've met 8 billion people on the planet, but almost everyone that I've met lets it slip so bad. And most people think that it's shit outside of themselves that's going to change. Like, do you know how many bodybuilders I used to work with back in the day who'd won national awards, national championships, and they would come to me and they'd say, I hate myself. I hate the way I feel about myself. And I'm like, okay, cool. So if it's an external game, right? If changing your body changed the way you felt about yourself, then why the fuck are you still feeling like shit? Right? And very few people get that. The fact was that they'd done a great job with their body, amazing job. They were super disciplined, all of that sort of stuff. But the biggest problem that they had was a problem of self-comparison that was going on inside their own mind. So even when they were at minimal body fat percentage, hopping on stages, winning national awards and shit, they still hated themselves. Because unless you change the inner game, the outer game doesn't change. Personal growth and personal development is the fast track to you crushing your life and enjoying the results that you have. That's the way you appreciate life. That's the way you appreciate living the way you want to live. There's all these dumb fucks out there who, I rock up in my supercars and they're like, oh man, that's fucking awesome. And they think that it's about the cars. And then I get all these other douchebags on social media that, you're just showing off. It's not about the cars. It's not about that at all. I had to think that way before I became that way. My mindset had to change before I got the supercars. My mindset had to shift from being a broke douchebag who used to go out and spend all his money every week. I had to become wealthy inside my own mind. I had to think like a wealthy person before I became one. I had to become a millionaire inside my own mind before I became one. Most people do it ass up. Right. What happens is they drown and then they try to learn how to swim when they're drowning. You learn how to swim so that you don't drown. Okay. You learn how to get your shit right inside your head so that you win in life. You don't win outside and then change your mindset to feel like a winner. You feel like a winner so that you win. That's how you play the game. Most people are so dumb, they just don't get that. They are so fucking dumb. That's why if you're listening to this, you are going to crush it in life. It is so easy to win amongst other people, right? Yes, there is going to be the 5% of the population who are probably going to do better than you in some way, shape, or form. Yes, right? But at the same time, they might be crushing it in one area. Now, if you want to crush it in one area, that's great. Put your focus in that area, you'll crush it, right? Don't do anything else apart from that one thing. But if you want to crush it in life, you have to master multiple areas and live to a standard that you want to operate at within your own life. You have to do that. It starts in your head though. I hear that quote like whatever, a professional at everything or a person of everything, a master of nothing or some shit like that, right? That is so dumb because in order to win in life, you have to have a winner's mindset. right? Michael Jordan was the greatest basketballer in history. I think he still is. I mean, him, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, it's debatable, whatever. But even go back and watch Kobe Bryant clips. That guy had his mindset switched on. And even Kobe Bryant, the greatest basketballer in history, along with Michael Jordan, said it's an internal game. He always spoke about the importance of mindset. He always spoke about how everything happened in his head before he even knew anything else. Go and watch The Last Dance. Go and watch Air, the documentary with Michael Jordan, okay, about his shoe deal. Go and watch old interviews. They win inside their head before they win in the world. Most people want to win in the world before they change the way they fucking think about the world, which is why most people lose all the time, right? It is so dumb. Don't do that. Internal world first, external world is a reflection of the internal world. Everything you complain about right now is you. It's you inside your own head. When I hear people say, like that business owner, my staff are undisciplined, I'm like, I know you're undisciplined. Most people don't get that. They're like, no. They're undisciplined. And I'm like, no. You're undisciplined. You're undisciplined in your communication. You're undisciplined in your tracking. You're undisciplined in your accountabilities with them. You're undisciplined in yourself. And that's why you let them slip, because you're undisciplined. And then they go, oh, no, I'm not disciplined. I get to work at the same time every day. And I'm like, what about the shit you put in your mouth last night? Oh, yeah, well, that. Okay, what about the 2 cartons of beer you drunk on the weekend? What about the bottle of Jacks you smashed on the weekend? What about those things? Okay, what about those cigarettes that you keep smoking? Undisciplined. Get rid of that shit and watch what happens. You transform the way you think about things and things will transform around you. Unless you get that right, you are always going to be stuck. I can tell you right now, if you reach out to me right now on my social media and you say, I'm struggling with this problem because of these external reasons, I already know what's going on inside your own head. If you're saying I don't have enough money in the bank, that tells me that you're not adding enough value to others around you. It's a mindset game. It tells me that you don't think that you're valuable enough. I have business owners every fucking week. They come to me and they're like, man, people are only shopping for price. And I'm like, no, motherfucker, you're shopping on price. And then we go through everything. And then they're like, oh man, coaching's expensive. Coming to your Business Growth Odyssey event is expensive. Do you have anything cheaper? And I'm like, yeah, your customers are all tight asses, right? Have you ever thought that you're the fucking same prick that attracts those pricks, right? You're a tight ass. They're a tight ass. You complain, oh, everyone's price shopping. You fucking price shop. When you stop price shopping, the people around you and the customers that you attract won't price shop. I don't even care about price shopping customers because I normally try to cut them off. Very rarely does a price shopping customer get on the phone with me, right? I'll ask them in the comments or the DMs or something like that. I'm like, here's the price. You know, you ready to rock and roll? And if they go, oh, I need time to think about it, I'm like, think about it for as long as you want. You got the rest of your life to think about it. Let me know when you want to make change. Let me know when you want to make a decision. I don't fuck around with people anymore because I realize that my time's valuable. My knowledge is valuable. I'm valuable. And so therefore, if you want to hang out with valuable people, you have to then see the value in those things. And if you don't see them, then stay the fuck away from my environment. Stay away from me. Right? And most business owners don't want to do that because they're like, oh, the customer's the most important thing. No, you're the most important thing because you're the one that's driving the value of the organization. Then from there, your staff. If you're super disciplined and you're on track and you see your value and you see your staff's value and the staff see their own value and how they create it, then the value of the business goes up and people see that shit. And the people who want the best will go to the best. The people who are cheap, tight ass motherfuckers, they're always going to go to the cheapest, tight ass motherfucker to get the job done, right? Because that's how they operate. Scabs go to scabs. Jeff Bezos has a boat that he can't even park in a normal fucking wharf. Why? Because it's too big. It's the size of a ship. Right? He doesn't care. Like, he doesn't care whether people like the prices on Amazon or not. Like, he will do it, but he knows that volume wins the game. And so he just knows that if he keeps providing value and he has an amazing service, that people will pay what they need to pay in order to get it. These days, I use Amazon and I don't even check half the other places to price shop. I just go on there and I'm like, this is easy, it's simple, bang. I've just saved time. It's my most valuable asset. Bang, there we go. He offered value. I paid value. He gets rich. Why? Because he's smart. He gets the game of life. Most brokies don't get the game of life. They're always broke. They're broke in their mindset. They're broke in the way that they live. They're broken in the way that they do things. And then they wonder why their life never pans out the way that they want it to. You have to change the mental game before you change the external game. You change your mindset and you keep implementing that over and over and over and over and over again. And then bang, all of a sudden you start making a shit ton of money. Life will always test you to see how much you want it. I heard someone say the other day, and I love this. I fucking love it. You don't have the things that you want right now because you can't handle the pressure of having them. And I went, oh, that hurts. That hurts. You don't have the things that you want now because you can't handle the pressure of having those things. And I went, ooh, that sucks. And it's true. I don't have the things that I want right now because I am not ready to handle those things yet. Which means I need to keep learning what I need to learn. I need to keep executing so that I can handle the weight and the challenge and the pressure and the stress that comes with a new level of growth. Most people don't want the stress. Most people don't want the pressure. Most people don't want the challenge. Most people are lazy. Most people can't handle anything. They can't even handle, like, their fucking phone goes out for 2 minutes or their Wi-Fi cuts off and they fucking lose their shit. How the hell are you going to handle having millions of dollars when people try to sue you? When family members want something for nothing? When you've got staff that expect something for nothing? How are you going to stand up to them? Like, you just can't do it. So you have to change the inner world. Personal development is the thing that bridges the gap. So your personal development, your personal growth right now is the gap, the thing that closes the gap in between where you are right now and your goals and your expectations in the future. I remember being broke as shit, like absolutely fucking broke, and I couldn't even afford to buy books, and I got online and I bought books. Only a couple of weeks ago, I paid $27,000, it was around $30,000 for a coach who I needed to help me with some specific things. Now, I didn't have that money in the bank. I literally walked out to Jess and I said to her, right, I'm hiring this coach. This is the price. How can we make it work? And she said, well, what I can do is I can move some money around that we've got and then we'll just chuck the rest on credit card. And I went, sweet. And then I got it done. I did not have the money to do it. When I went and dropped $500,000 on a car, I didn't have the money. I didn't have $500,000 sitting in the bank account. I could have sold some of my investments and shit but I didn't have it. I went and I put the deposit because I knew I needed it. So I had the deposit for what I needed to have. Actually, I put a fair bit more on, but I had that money there. Then I went out and I got the rest on loan because I knew that the car would be the next step up in my lifestyle and in my standards. Then from there, it pushed me to go and make more money. Now from there, I don't even think about that money coming out of the account every week because my life is that standard, right? If you can't handle pressure now, you cannot sure as fuck handle the pressure of your goals right now. You cannot handle having those goals. If you can't handle the pressure of going out and not eating shit food all the time, how can you handle the pressure of having a six pack or having a great body? If you can't even get 2 workouts in a week without bumming out and making excuses, how the fuck are you going to do 3 to 4 workouts a week to have the body that you want? Right? If you can't have or improve your communication skills and admit to yourself that maybe you've got some gaps in your communication, go and learn how to communicate better, then how are you going to have an effective relationship with the person that you love and who admires you for the person that you are when you cannot even communicate what you want and how you want it, right? You have to change. The change happens inside your head first, and then the world changes for you. You get what you want. So when I was broke, I always knew that I was going to be rich. And I went, you know what? I'm going to be a millionaire one day. I'm going to be a millionaire one day. And I kept thinking about it over and over and over again. And I kept taking action towards that standard. Very rarely did I ever say, I don't have the money or I don't have the time. I go, I make the money and I make the time. I would spend the money first and then I would get back the money at a later date. I spent over $1 million on study, over $1 million before I made my first million. Okay. And most of these drop kicks out there are like, oh man, I can't afford it. Well, of course you can't afford it. Because if you could afford it, you'd already be there, but you're not there and you're not to the next level that you want to be at, which is why you got to keep bridging that gap, right? The change happens in your head first. I guarantee that the next level of you is just you changing to think like that next level. When you start thinking like it, you'll start feeling like it. When you start feeling like it, you'll start behaving like it. When you put those 3 things together, you will get the results that you want, but you've got to keep changing because every level has more pressure, every level has more stress, and every level has more chaos. Life gets easier and harder at the same time as you grow. That's all that it is. Life's harder for me now than it's ever been. Okay, because I count my calories when I go out. So now I'm going out is like, shit, there's all this wicked food on the menu, but I'm just going to grab a steak because I can track the calories. I might grab some potatoes on the side. I might grab a salad. I'll count them. It's harder. When I go out now, I don't drink alcohol or anything like that. I don't want those calories. And number 2, I don't want to fuck up my sleep because I've got shit to do in the morning, right? I get up at the same time. I do all my posting schedule and stuff like that. I hear all these people that are like, I don't have time to post. Well, of course you don't have time to post. You don't have time to make money. That's exactly what's going on. You complain that you don't have enough time, but that's because you're working your ass off because you don't have time to post to get the good clients that you want. So what are you going to do? Okay. It's going to suck if you do, and it's going to suck if you don't. So what suck do you want? That's how I've operated for the last 20 years. I know that every step to the next level is going to suck, but I know it's going to suck even worse if I don't change and I don't make the decisions to keep growing. This year, I've probably spent 70 grand at least on mentors, coaches, maybe even 100 grand. Now, I don't just have that cash just sitting around, because if I had the cash sitting around, I'll put it into investments. But everything I spend money on is an investment in my future. I don't just go out and blow cash. I invest it. Okay. My mentor is an investment. My advisors are investments. My accountant is an investment. All these dipshits get online every year at accounting time or end of financial year, and they're like, hey, does anyone know a cheap accountant? And then they're like, oh man, I don't know. How does everyone claim so much? And I'm like, you dumbass. Why? How fucking dumb can you be? Right? It's not that hard to figure out. Okay. You pay for what you get. But anyway, if you want to win the game of life, you got to bridge that gap. You have to bridge the mindset gap. You got to keep doing personal development. I still listen to stuff every day. In fact, I listen to this podcast every morning when I'm walking. I listen to some other podcasts, not many, but I listen to a couple, or I listen to audiobooks. I like every week mowing my lawns. I never used to mow the lawns, and normally once a month I get them cut or whatever. But normally every weekend I go outside and I mow the lawns if it's good weather, because I get to put an audiobook on and I spend an hour and a half to 2 hours doing the gardening and shit, and I get to listen to an audiobook. It kills two birds with one stone. I feel wicked at the end of the day, and I've already grown and listened to stuff. That's why I do that stuff. Plus I burn calories. That's why I do it. I'm always learning and bridging that gap. When I see people sitting there watching the footy on the weekend and they go, oh, I don't have time to do shit. Come on. Are your standards that low? Right? Are your standards that low that you like hang around with people smashing beers, watching a game that you can't even control, getting all emotional about shit that has nothing to do with your life, and then you wonder why you're not getting the results in life? Maybe if you spent those 4 hours doing personal growth, personal learning, and committing to shit, spending less money on alcohol or not even drinking, then you'd have more time, you'd be more effective mentally, and you'd be crushing it. Like, it's not that hard. If most people just look at their life and say, what do I need to take out? Not what do I need to add, it's what do I need to take out? All these people out there are like, oh, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? You don't need to do more shit. You need to stop doing the crap that's stopping you from getting the results you want. One of the things that you got to stop doing is you got to stop wasting time on stupid shit that you can't control. You got to stop getting emotional about stuff that has no impact on your life whatsoever. Okay? You got to stop doing that. You have to start investing in yourself. And you got to see things as an investment or a liability. If you spend money and you never get a return back on it, you just lost money. You go out and you buy a car, you spend 80 grand on a car, that car drops to fucking $10,000 in the first year, you now just lost 10 grand. That is a liability. That is dumb as shit. And people say, yeah, but I got to drive around a car, buy a $5,000 car and go and invest the rest of the money in personal development, personal growth, get your shit right, go get a personal trainer. And within 2 years, you will have a $200,000 car, not consistently buying an $80,000 car or a $60,000 car or a $50,000 car or a $20,000 car that you keep losing half of the cost in 2 years. Right? And by the time you can afford to buy the car you want, you don't even care about the drop in price, because the rest of your life is an asset. The assets keep paying for everything. Your mindset keeps paying for it because you keep crushing it. Right? I hope everyone's getting this. Okay? If you're not into personal development, you're not investing in your head, what the fuck are you investing in? Right? If I see people driving brand new cars and shit and they complain about the price of personal development, I know that they are fucking lost. When I hear business owners that are trying to get ahead and they don't invest in themselves, in their personal growth and in their fitness and in their health, I know that they are slipping wildly and they're leaving millions on the table. In fact, I had this conversation with someone only the other day, right? I was speaking to them. We're in this sales call and they're like, oh, you know, I'm not sure whether I'm going to do this or not or whatever. And I said, okay, cool. What's the problem? They said, oh, it's just the finances. And I said, okay, cool. So let's just say that for the next 12 months, like you're telling me that you're keen to do this next year because everyone says that they're keen to do something in a future date. Why? Because it removes responsibility from making decisions. Decisions are tough. Decisions decide what you want and what you don't want. And then finally, it means that you've got to make a commitment. So people avoid that shit because it's uncomfortable and it creates pressure on them and it creates a responsibility and accountability. And most people say that they want shit, but that's why they don't do anything, because they keep putting shit off. And they keep putting shit off because they lack the fucking courage to make a decision. That's really what it comes down to. Right? They're weak as piss. And they're not weak as piss because they're afraid of if it doesn't work out. They're afraid if they don't fucking do the work. That's the problem. Right? So anyway, I said to him, cool, you can take as long as you want. Right? Have as long as you want. And anyway, I had a bit of a laugh and he went, oh. And I said, look, how much have you lost in the last year in sales, in your business, because of your lack of confidence? Okay? Because of your self-doubt. Because of the way you perceive yourself when you're in front of clients. And he goes, oh, I don't know, probably 10 times the amount of what I'm going to spend on this. And I said, cool. So now tell me why you don't want to spend money and work with me. Okay. He would have had 10 times more if he'd done this earlier. Anyway, the cool thing was that he was smart enough, right? And if he's listening in, you know who you are. This takes courage and it takes balls. He goes, you know what? I know who I need to go talk to. I will make it happen. Just give me a couple of days and I'll get it done. And I was like, fucking sweet. That's someone who is a winner, right? Most people won't do that. Why? Because they have a losing mindset. They have all this fear, this worry, this concern. They let everybody else influence their decision-making and they can't back themselves. And then they wonder why they don't get the results that they want, but they just can't do it. They can't commit to stuff. They can't make decisions. And when they do, they've taken that long that normally they're reactive because they've taken that long to make a decision. They just do something erratically and impulsively and then shit's out of control again, right? Don't do that. But anyway, winning is an internal game. If you want to win in the external world, you have to control what's going on in your internal head. Personal development is that gap between who you are today and the standards that you want to operate by in the future, and also the goals that you want to have or the things that you want to have achieved in your future. So if you're not bridging that gap and you're not investing in bridging that gap, then don't be surprised if you never close that gap. Anyway, Driven Mofos, I hope that helps. Keep getting out there. Keep crushing it. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Dominate drops soon. Stay tuned for it. It's going to be absolutely epic. Make sure you're following me on Instagram as well. It's Michael Mojo 00 on Instagram. Just go and check it out. The zeros and the O's are back to front, but you'll see me. It's the blue tick. It's got the blue check mark. Go and check it out. Yeah. That was an episode and a half. Anyway, Driven Mofos, have a great day. Keep crushing it. And remember, keep your standards high. Most people waste their life, and I just don't want you to be one of them.